What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran, and we're going back to their 1993 self-titled album, or the Wedding album again, though this is a track that is not on my copy of the album. It's another bonus track sent to me by Izzy. Shout out to Izzy. Though once again, apologies to Izzy and everybody else that I misunderstood one of his emails and what was included, and I ended up reacting to a tune that I thought was an Arcadia tune, but it's not. I removed it from the channel, so I'm gonna go back and react to the bonus material from Arcadia as well as the other stuff that he sent me as a comparison. But again, that was my bad, so apologies to Izzy and everyone else. Nevertheless, I do believe this is actually a Duran bonus track from their 1993 album. We're going to listen to a tune that is called Time for Temptation. I'm intrigued by the title and that it almost suggests an enthusiasm for the temptation. Or at the very least, it's an explicit acknowledgement that there is a time and a place for temptation, and this is it. Now, granted, I guess one could recognize that and still be averse to it in the sense that, you don't want to succumb, but you are aware that this is where temptation will be. So I suppose it's not necessarily enthusiasm, but it is at the very least an acknowledgement of the phenomenon and potentially a risk. Temptation can be temptation for a lot of different things. It could be temptation for, a relationship or an affair that is perhaps illicit or at least inappropriate given wider context. It could be temptation toward, mind-altering substances, alcohol, drugs, and so on. It could be temptation to, skirt responsibility and avoid your duties in preference of simply pursuing visceral or sort of carnal relief or enjoyment. So I suppose temptation can manifest in a number of different ways, but by calling it temptation, I think there is an implicit, not only sort of religious type of language, but I think it is this suggestion that whatever the enticement is, whatever the siren song is, it could have deleterious effects, or at the very least, is dangerous or risky to pursue. But again, time for temptation suggests that there will be a duration and perhaps in relation to a location, wasn't trying to rhyme there, but where this temptation will prove particularly relevant, or the main sort of atmosphere or situation at hand. So we'll have to see how it manifests, but I do like the bringing together of a temporal element along with a psychological one. So it's like time for temptation. It's there is a time and a place where your psychology will be especially vulnerable relative to other times and places. So that's what comes to mind when I think of the phrase. Obviously that may and probably will have nothing to do with it, but as I always say, I do enjoy getting my brain working in advance. So let's get to it. This is Duran Duran, Time for Temptation, a bonus track from their 1993 self-titled album. Interesting opening. I didn't know where we were going with that intro, but suddenly, this popped in. Wow. Guilty feelings of belonging yesterday. Spy the preachers, the politician carries the cross like a gun with into show. I didn't catch all the words there, but it sounded like there were some interesting ideas to play. Check your vision and push it out there. You make the question to find what it's all about. I like that. I was going to comment on those hi-hats, and then it did that dead pause. Again, that's sort of at least quasi-religious language, temptation, damnation. That little bass roll. it's funny, when there's that crazy intro, the next part made me feel like it's almost like a U2 song or something, but now, like, again, it's just kind of like, it's incorporating different elements. It's like, there's a funk layer to it, but it's also kind of poppy and groovy. Drum roll there. Almost like abstract, like jazz instrumental section, but it still has like the steady 4/4 beat. So again, there's a lot of different ingredients. Now the guitar making a case. Love those drum rolls. The layering of Simon's vocals, it's almost like hypnotizing at this section. Mesmerizing. It's cool. I dig it. Perhaps, you know, given the limitations of length and so on, you know, especially when it comes to like putting a record together, but I think also CD technology is limited by the amount of material you can put in. It makes sense to me maybe that one, you know, didn't beat out some of the others from the album, because again, I'm thinking about so many of the tunes from this album. Obviously, you know, the hits Come Undone, Ordinary World, but Love Voodoo and Too Much Information, UMF, None of the Above, Sin of the City, To Whom It May Concern. I really enjoyed this album. So, you know, it's a hard album, I think, you know, for a track to like find a foothold in. So yeah, I did very much enjoy it. As I said, that like that opening austere intro, I was unsure, like, you know, where the track was going to go. It was such a like, you know, hard to get a read on, because it was sort of austere and sort of suspenseful, and then it kind of came in kind of groovy and so on. And like I said, there was like a moment in the first minute or two where I was like, you know, if you changed the voice that I was hearing, I wouldn't, you know, this wouldn't sound out of place on a U2 album, which again, there's no insult meant there in either direction. But yeah, and then the more the song went on, I was like, nah, I don't know if it doesn't really sound like a U2 song. You know, it's Duran doing their thing of blending different elements, using like different influences and kind of doing it their own way. So yeah, it was cool. It was groovy. As I said, it had a bit of a funk to it, but you know, still sort of that groovy kind of pop feel and that like steady 4/4 beat. And then, like I said, there was that moment where the guitar came in. As like, no, don't think, or I hope you didn't forget about me, because I'm still here. So yeah, just a really cool tune. Even if, like I said, you know, given the quality of what is already on here, you know, maybe it doesn't surprise me that this ended up as a bonus track or like a, you know, a B-side or so on. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it should have been on the album. You know, I just try to sort of experience these tunes and talk about them in the moment. But, you know, not only sort of my lyrical understandings, but, you know, just my impression of tunes, you know, certainly not definitive, and I welcome, you know, different opinions. So yeah, shout out to all the Duran fans commenting on the different videos and, you know, really just making this a group journey. I'm going to keep saying it, but I really do appreciate you all. Let me know what you think of this tune. There's a few more bonus tracks from this album to come, so we got some more to go on the 1993 album, which I mentioned it when I finished the album proper. This is a fantastic album, and I really do get why it made the musical world kind of turn their head again and be like, whoa, 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 like Duran Duran is doing stuff like this? Like, wait, what? So, you know, I'm realizing now as I'm listening to more of their albums and understanding, you know, the gap that I originally had between, let's say, Seven and the Ragged Tiger, because I've since come to understand that some of the tunes from that album, you know, graced my ears when I was a kid, listening to the radio. But then I don't think I heard much, if anything, from them until this album, the self-titled album, the Wedding album. And again, I mentioned before, like Come Undone, Ordinary World, I was like, wow, like this is really cool. I didn't know they were, you know, still around or making music like this and so on. So now I'm beginning to understand that progression even more. But as I said, this is such a phenomenal album. I get why, you know, there would have been some tunes that are totally good, but couldn't quite make the cut on an album like this. So let me know what you think. Other than that, I'll see you next time.